You're listening to On Fire Concerts Artist Interview of the Month series with your host, Ron Johnson. Hey, folks, this is Ron with On Fire Concerts, and we are here today with a special interview with a gentleman that you all well know from the Statler Brother history. What, 3 Grammy Awards, 21 BMI Awards, member Country Music Hall of Fame, Gospel Hall of Fame, uh, 21 platinum and gold albums, just a list of things go on and on. And he retired and now he's still busy. Welcome, Don Reid.
Ron, thank you very much. And you're right, I still am busier than I thought I was going to be when I retired all these many years ago. But I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Somebody asked me, are you ever going to slow down? Because I do my music stuff, I do these concerts, and then I work. I tell everybody a real job. I work from home, so I'm blessed. But I said, you do this for 20 years. I've 30 years, when you're up till 12:30, 1 o'clock at night like I am, and I'm up at 6:30, I wouldn't know no other way to live,
Yeah. And busy and having those schedules, and it's hard just to stop all of a sudden.
Yeah, you can't do it almost. And getting to your book here, of course, the last book that we talked about was your Statler Brothers anthology, and we just had tremendous response to that, and I know we will this one. And this one, folks, is a new one by Don called Piano Days. Just come out recently. And before I get into the book, I've got to say, I think the back cover, folks, Mr. 1950s wrote that. Pat Boone did a great little write up.
They're all publisher always saying anybody who wants to write a blurb. And I thought about it, and my sons and I talked about it, and we said, hey, why not get Mr. 50s to do it? That's what it's about, the 50s and the 60s. And here's a man. And so I called Pat, because we've known each other for years and worked together many times. And I asked him to do it. He said, sure, send me a book. And he wrote such nice things on the back. And I really do appreciate him. And I want to give him a shout out and thank Pat Boone so much for the kind words that he said.
Well, the book, getting into the book here, it's based on a group of kids growing up in the 50s and 60s, or in the small town USA, like Virginia is where they are. And I mean, the characters in the book, I mean, from Toby, Bud, Lanny Mae, Sue, the twins, the double Tinas, it just, I was reading that and I was thinking, like Toby, for example, I know somebody identical to that.
Right. I bet just about everybody that reads are going to know a Toby. And you remember him, you love him, and you haven't seen him for a long time. And that's why it's enjoyable to read about it.
I grew up in Memphis, and I've got a best friend. I said, still best friend. I haven't seen him in 20 years, but still, we grew up together. I mean, where one was, the other was, and we could talk regularly on the phone. But as far as, I'm not in Memphis now, so, but it's still, I mean, it's like they're part of your life, as always will be. And it just, I think that it's, the book, the characters are just so perfect for this book. And I didn't, I got about halfway through the book before I realized who's telling the story. Yeah, because I don't believe you named the person telling the story.
Well, we called him something as we went, but he never really had a name. It was a sort of, it was sort of an everyman telling the story. But then again, he becomes real before the book is over. But then there's two different people talking. There's two different people.
Yeah. And that's in the last, and the, I think that if I remember right, I've heard you say just on the excerpt for the book, it's not really based on any real people that per se that you knew.
It's a composite of people. When you write fiction, you kind of use a little piece of this person, a little piece of this person, and you create a story. And there may be one or two little facts that are into it, but basically it's all made up. And you can just sit there and take these characters wherever you want to take them and make them however you want to make them. And that's the thrill and the fun of writing fiction. And to make it come out to where it's realistic, it sounds realistic and is believable. And that's when you feel like, well, yeah, I've accomplished something here. And I felt like I did in this book. I'm very happy with the way it came about.
I think I think it's an amazing book, and I mean, you even go into like made me think back many years ago. There's a little town down near Jackson, Tennessee. Uh, it's down in that area where my grandmother was, and there was a you talk about like you had, I think it was Spotlight and Tinsel Tally,
Yeah.
and there was you talk about they were just the people you seen in town that everybody knew.
Town character. Just about every small town had some. Yeah.
It's like the lady I was trying to say, there was a house there in the town we lived in, or my grandmother lived in. Everybody has stories about this house on the hill that you never seen the woman. She come out at night to get her groceries. And it's just, but you had those people,
Yeah.
and everybody knew it.
I think wherever we grew up, where did you grow up in Tennessee?
I was born and raised in Memphis. Uh, Lived in a little. We had a home in a little place called Lexington.
Like
Back and forth,
my
but I
wife,
grew up in Memphis.
like no mile in Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's what I'm familiar with that area. Yeah, but I think wherever we grew up, that we knew the same types of people. We had the same types of experiences. It may not be just absolutely perfect the way I might write it, the way you might remember it, but we all had those essence of those same kind of memories.
well, I mean, it's like you talk about Sue in the book and Nanny Mae, the girls that you first met, and then you go on and it's funny because you think back there again, it makes you think back. Well, of course, what would we do without Facebook these days? But you think back where I've got a couple of ex-girlfriends on Facebook,
Yeah,
that I grew up with, but we're friends.
yeah.
And my wife knows them, and
Hey,
so it's just like you think back with that, it's just there once it's intertwining and they're there for good. So the book is there something that everybody, folks, this book you will relate to, and you will know the people. They may be different names as what's in the book, but you're gonna know those people.
you can put your own faces and your own names on the
That
characters.
is true. And the last chapter in that book is simply amazing, and how true that can be. I mean, from the incident Billy and the whole 9 yards, Bud, just it just it's life, is what it is. And you always talk about going back home. Well,
It's hard to go back home. It's very difficult to, but we all have to sometime or another, whether in reality or in our minds. But we have to go back and deal with who we were and what we've become, and that's what life is all about.
so what inspired you to write this book, Don?
Oh, I was thinking about what the next book was, and the idea of doing a novel came up, and it was just kind of at my fingertips. And this is what I want to write about. I want to write about something that I know and something that I love. And that's when the writing is the easiest, when you can truly do that right from your heart. And that's what this one was about. That's what this was, from the heart. And I would just let my mind go. Once I created these characters, they sort of took me along with them. And they wrote their own stories.
Well, that's and this book, I think, folks, just throwing this out there for what it's worth, would make a great movie. It could be a good.
I've been told that. It's been suggested that that should happen. And it does. I think it's very picturesque when you start looking at the different scenes, the different chapters. And it's a fun era when you're looking back on it. And yeah,
You take somebody through the life journey, basically, is what it is. And this is, and you've talking about movies and stuff, but we were talking before we started the recording, but this is your 11th book.
11th book I've written since we retired in '02. So yeah.
So that's a good retirement to write 11 books.
Yeah, yeah. It keeps,
But it's a great book. And you've also written some TV series, have you not?
well, yeah, my brother Harold and I wrote the Statler Brothers show for 7 years in the '90s, in which we did on TNN, and we wrote another series called Yesteryear, and I've kind of dabbled in all different kinds of writings, and I've been offered to do some more television writing that I might be doing some more yet this year.
Okay. You got any other books in mind?
Not right now, but I know I've got files always saying, here's a possibility, here's a possibility. I got possibility files all over my office.
I can believe you have files just based on the previous book, Anthology, with all the songs.
I kept all those, yeah, I kept notes all those years. I don't throw anything away, Ron. I never throw anything. That's my life. Don't throw anything away.
That's it's like my desk is a mess. My wife would say, "Let me come in and clean you up. Don't mess with my desk, because if you move anything, I won't be able to find nothing." You know, I know what pile something's in. Yeah, but Don, I appreciate you taking your time today and talking with us briefly about this book. But folks, it's Piano Days by Don Reid. It's available on your website.
On donreid.net or on Statler Brothers, thestatlerbrothers.com. If you order it from there, I'll autograph it. So it comes that way.
Well, folks, it's a great book. I read it in like a day and a half. Or
I appreciate that so much, Ron. I appreciate you taking your time, and I'm glad you enjoyed it that much to read it that fast.
I loved it. Folks, go out there and get it. And Don, we appreciate you taking your time again, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, buddy. We will do it. We will hook up again. Good to see you.
Thank you, Don. Bye.